Hi everyone, I am Rajesh Kumar. I am having close to 16 plus years of experience in Devops, SRE and DevSecOps. I have worked with more than 12 software organizations around the globe. I would like to introduce you all a Devops School's flagship certification program in Devops, SRE and DevSecOps. This program will get started in the weekends, so get enrolled. Please contact us on the phone number given on the screen, and in fact you can email us on the contact@devopsschool.com. Here queue system. So here this is the DS actually. So this proxy 2 node 2 proxy, right? Why 2 proxy? And if you see the 2 node 2 canal, why 2 canal? So if you see that get ports get DS and -n, or let's make it all namespaces, and you see here queue system, canal and queue proxy. So if you want to deploy one pod each worker for the maintenance, some work, then daemon set. Then you'll say, what is the stateful set? So stateful set for the database pod. Database pod means the place, the application which has a certain database change. It has a certain properties. So it is always stick to the database, same database, irrespective. I mean, if the pod is getting changed, getting replaced, then only then also this will stick to the same the storage. So some advantages are there. So I'll suggest you to look at that detailed explanation in LMS. You have this one. Okay, so all of you understood that now, getting comfortable with the pod and all everything. Hello.
Yes.
Okay, now guys, there is one problem. Okay, I'm not complicating this session, the problem, the one which I'm discussing, because it required at least 2 to 3 hours of detailed discussion to talk about everything. Okay, but I'm putting in a very simple way so you'll understand. And after that, if you get a curiosity, you go back to the services and you get expertise on that. So that question is, there's a problem is, the problem is very simple. Let me draw the pictures and then you'll understand this. The problem is very simple. The problem is, this is a cluster and this is the worker 1. Oh, big image. This is worker 1 and this is worker 2. And here there is a pod, red pod. Pod should be round, right? Yeah. This is a red pod 1, red pod 1. This is the application. And there is one more pod which is the front end here. So here what I'm trying to say here, like this. Just a second, guys. And then create a database pod. So the problem here is simple things I'm saying. This is a 2 pod you have or 3 pod you have, and this 3 pod you have a web, and then you have a 3 pod you have of web app. This is the app pod, and then you have one more few pod for database, and this is the DB. Now the problem is, you know that pod get you saw that pod was coming going because of replica set you change. Sometime node get disappeared, so pod get disappeared, then replacement pod automatically come because of controller. I showed you all this feature. So IP address also keep getting changes. Okay, so many problems we have in this. So here the problem is, first of all, this is me, your client. Okay, think about it, forget about that now. Now the how to deploy the pod. Think about the client, end user. Focus on the end user, how they will access, which pod they will access. That's the problem, right? Correct now? And here the problem for the
Yes.
web server, which web server will access which pod? There is one more problem.
Which
Yeah, and app server will also get confused, they will access to which pod. So how do we solve it? So how do we solve it? How do we solve it? Any idea you have for solving this problem?
You can put load balancer.
Wonderful. Yes, you put the load balancer. So what we'll do, this pod will have one load balancer, and this pod we have one load balancer, and this pod also will have one load balancer. Agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now the question is, you should ask Rajesh how to create free load balancer which will load balance the pod. I repeat, how to create free load balancer which will load balance the pod in a Kubernetes. So that service name is service itself. Please don't get confused. Service itself is a network load balancer. Will you remember that? Service is equal to network load balancer. Ingress is equal to application load balancer. I'm not talking the ingress because that's out of scope right now, but service. So now the question is minimized. Here, service is load balancing pod in a cluster. In a cluster, I am saying always. I'm using the cluster word. Spelling mistake, please ignore it all the places. So service is load balancing pods in a cluster. Okay. So the question is how to create service. That is a question. That is a question. How to create service. And that's the one thing. And the second question is how to inform pod that you load balance using that service only. Correct now? Because in the cluster you have a three pod, nine pod. Now I need to tell, hey, this app pod, you only load balance by this load balancer, and you only load balance by this pod, this load balancer, this service, and you do with you. So you have a three service, one, two, three, nine pod. How I'll tell pod, hey, you balance by this or this or this or that? Are you understanding?
Hmm.
Getting your points?
Yes.
So how do we do that? So these are the two questions I'm going to help you with that. So first of all, how to create service, and second thing, how to inform pod that you are your load balancer using, you should use that your load balancer using that service. How do you do that? So first let me answer this question, and I think by now you know that. So first of all, kubectl get svc. SVC means shortcut. Okay. So I have a one service already available. Now, guys, this is assignment. If you tell me, if you tell me why this service is available, I did not create it, by the way. What is the use cases of it? And by the way, all the commands you know that by now. So don't tell me, Rajesh, I don't know the commands. By now you know all the commands, whatever you are supposed to know. So using those commands only, we try to find out why this service is important for you, what is the use cases of it, and all stuff like that. This is assignment for you. But coming back to this, how to create a service? QCTL create -f svc. No, sorry, svc-h. So here, this is the one. Now, guys, here when you go and see that, then you will see these are the four types of service which you have. Four types of service.
Hmm.
Then you will say, Rajesh, what is this all about? So guys, understand this one simple thing, visualize that in mind, because no drawing can help you if you don't understand. Mind it, this load balancer, this service will load balance the pod. So don't you think this all things is accessible only inside a cluster? That means if I'm inside a cluster, one of the worker or one of the node, then only I can access this load balancer or this or this. Correct now?
Yes.
Correct now, all of you? These people, I told you they cannot access this load balancer, this load balancer, this service. Load balancer means service cannot access. So what do we do in this case? So understand that very simple way I'm putting up, not complicating, not complicating. Service is equal to load balancing a pod, and service IP is accessible only in cluster. That is called what? Clustered IP. That means when you create a service, just now I was doing in front of you. Let me show you the screen. Clear the screen. And here you see, I was creating a service, and then I created a service. Then I was asked, hey, what kind of service you want to create? A cluster IP, external name, load balancer. What kind of service you want to create? So if you want to create a service which is accessible inside a cluster, then what you should select? Cluster IP.
Cluster IP.
Wonderful. Now the second thing is, I'll teach you this one. What is the node port? So guys, if you want to create a service, mind it here. If you want to create a service which should be accessible on IP address of worker. I said IP address of worker, hyphen P, proxy, port forwarding. I hope you remember port forwarding. Yeah. So here, this node port when you create, so this create service, of the cluster IP plus, plus. What happens? Service get port forwarding. Very simple way I'm putting up port forwarding. What is a port forwarding? I taught you. Service get port forwarding to each node of the cluster. Yes. So that if you want to do that, means in a simple way, you want to have some service which you want to access on the IP address of the worker, then you go for the node port. So in that case, this service will be created. Plus port forwarding also happen in shortcut. That's called node port. Okay, now third one, which I'm going to tell you, this one. What is this? So this is little interesting. You know what? In this load balancer, create node port. See the relationship. Create a service with
Sorry.
node port. Plus. This is done. But then what extra will happen? In this, what will happen? Kubernetes would call cloud. What cloud you're talking about? Cloud means AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and create cloud load balancer. Cloud load balancer. Why? When you'll ask why they will create a cloud load balancer, remember that service is for load balancing a pod. Who will load balance the node? Tell me. How many nodes you have? Look at this image again. How many nodes you have? One node, two node. So I want to load balance this one, this one. How do I do that? So you have to create a load balancer which is external load balancer. This is the paid services. You have to do that. So this way, what will happen? So here, when you call this type, this service will be created of node port type. So that means that each node, then you can access the service. But Kubernetes will call the cloud and create a load balancer and add each worker to that LB. That is automated process. That way, you see that beauty. So I was not able to access this, but let's say you want to access this particular node, so you do a node port. But if I want to access both the node and load balance the node, then you create a load balancer. This is managed by cloud. Are you understanding, all of you?
If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.